most salespeople don't ask questions. They are, even if they are asking questions, they're asking very superficial questions, which a person who you're talking to, they can feel that you're asking a superficial question. Even though we try to teach our sales team in our own company that you must ask empathetic, close, unrelated questions, build the bonding with the customer, and really believe that you want to help them, and that is when they will feel that they really want to work with you. For example, the business model you're building in the Catapult Learning, it's about helping the person who's trying to build something. So you're creating a value for them, but at the same time, you have to have the empathy and the feeling that you really want to help them, and they have to feel it in order for them, initially, for them to come to you. How can we induce this idea in them, because they have been conditioned over the years that selling is not about listening, it's about telling.
I think the fascinating thing about this is that there is this, as a salesperson, you need to have big ears and a small mouth, right? You cannot be an alligator, big mouth and no ears, right? But I don't think, now we understand why that is so important, and trust comes first. You cannot build trust by selling you. I cannot build trust with you by selling you a product. I need to show that I really understand you first. And that is a generic, it comes back every time we work with personal growth or we work with management teams or whatever it is. Start asking questions, start to try to understand each other, and start talking about important stuff. Let's not talk about your how you do a credit rating process in a bank. Let's talk about what we as a management team want to achieve together. How do we envision the world? What is it that we're going to solve? And by doing that and having these processes that goes back into my ambition, connected to higher level goals, breaking down into targets, we will come out with a strategy that we all believe in. And we are able to set very high targets for ourselves and our business because we trust each other in the management team. And that's what collective self-esteem is. Collective self-esteem is a very, very tricky thing, because first of all, it requires the individuals to have high self-esteem so that I can believe in everybody actually executing them. But if I don't believe in everybody in the management team or in my team actually executing on their part, the collective self-esteem is broken, right? And as humans, we don't want to be part of setting targets that we don't believe that we can achieve. That's not how we function. Everybody is afraid of losing face, and it's not a cultural thing. It's a generic human condition. I do not want to agree on something that I know I'm going to fail at, so I'm going to lower the target, and I'm going to agree on targets. If I have a broken team with low collective self-esteem, I'm going to agree on a target that I believe we can achieve if I do my part. But if I want that target to be 400% growth instead of 8% growth, then I need to fully trust everybody involved in this process. And then I can agree on that, because I believe that we will find a solution to whatever problem we encounter. I believe that we will learn what we need to learn. I believe that we will grow to become the people we need to become in order to solve this massive target that we have. But if trust is not there, then that's not going to happen. And that, I think, is why you see most corporations growing incrementally. They're not talking about potential. They're talking about how we're going to grow 9% this year when we grew 8% last year, and the market is declining and the climate, blah, 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 blah. Instead of saying there's a potential for 400% growth. That's the difference.
But they can't, most employees or the co-workers cannot relate to that.
No.
Even if they can see it, they fear that, oh my God, 400% means 400% more time and more work.
No, but there's a very fascinating psychology behind goals. So most managers have heard about big, hairy goals. So in some way, they say big, hairy, audacious goals. So, and it's always set out of some form for relative perspective to where they have been. So let's say we have a bank that has been growing for 8% per year for the past 10 years. So that's their average growth rate, right? And then they say that now we're going to set up big, hairy goals. We're going to grow even more. So we're going to grow 40%. So what happens then is if you take a stick, so this is a virtual stick of energy and stress that is mounting. So 8% growth, I know we can do. We've done it before. We know exactly, we need to tune our communication, we need to be a bit smarter, a bit more efficient, maybe put out some new innovations that is replacing the old stuff, but nothing really dramatic or radical or breakthrough type of innovations. So what happens when management comes back and say, oh, we've been to a big Harry Gold seminar, we went to see Tony Robbins and now we're really pumped, so we're going to do 40% growth. So what happens then is that this stick starts to bend. And what happens when a stick bends? It mounts, energy is starting to mount, right? And energy is still constrained. So the team, the people that are going to do this, because it's certainly not management that's going to actually execute, they are starting to feel stressed because they see 40% growth. That's, oh, we need to work longer hours. We need to hire some more salespeople. We need to reach out more and blah, 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 blah. But essentially you're just adding tasks to the situation. You're not really breaking the barrier. So what we want to do is we want to have a target that is anchored in who we are and our ambitions, that is so huge that the stick breaks. Because what happens when the stick breaks is that people sort of, oh, yeah, then we cannot do what we're doing today. Exactly. So we need to do something completely new. And that is how you release energy into people and say that, oh, I really want to be part of that journey, but we're not gonna reach 400% growth by doing what we're doing today. Oh, then we need to find a new business model, new products, new ways of communicating using social media, whatever it is, and that people can rally around. That is something that these exponential organizations are very good at, saying that how do we do this differently? But and exponential organization, they like we talked about TransferWise, they leverage assets that others have built. They work with social media in a completely different, social capital in a different way. They source resources based on needs rather than having employees. So they do a lot of stuff differently, and that's the biggest challenge for the corporations, to say we're going to change and shift our way of working completely. So they rather continue with this growth path, the incremental growth, economic growth that they've always been with, rather than saying that there's a potential in our system, in our market, to do something radically different. Let's leave that to the stars.